I'll spray some carb cleaner right in the carb here to prime it, and you'll see it still won't start. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I've got an old Massey Ferguson here. This is from a customer of mine, kind of like a friend as well. He's actually a YouTuber as well. His YouTube channel is Bonsai Productions. I'll put his link in the video description. Go check it out. Anyway, this machine here has no spark. It all started out when it came to the shop here is that the starter was shot. So I've since put in a new starter. Starter works well. Battery's not bad. I charged it up. But there's no spark at the plug. Now these old engines have points. I've worked on this machine before on the spot at his house. And what I had done to get spark back, because we were in a jam, I just sanded the points and we had spark. This time, however, I just want to replace the points and the condenser and hope that's the only problem going on. I suspect that there was no spark to start with and somebody kept the starter on way too long and burned it out. So I think that was the original cause of all the problems here. So I want to walk you through this and show you how to replace the points on this machine and adjust them. So these are pretty simple engines, just flat heads, no overhead valve on these at all. An old RJ19LM spark plug here. No safeties on this tractor at all. And I'll crank it over, you'll see there's no spark. I know it could be grounded a little bit better here, but there still will not be any spark whatsoever. No spark whatsoever. Even if I sprayed quick start in the carburetor, nothing happened. So what I will do here is get at the points right away. The condenser is right here. This one's easy to replace. I might just start with the condenser here actually. I'll grab a 5/16 nut driver, take this off here and right there from the old coil. These are kind of coils you would have seen in old cars. You don't have to replace the condenser every time, but it should be done once in a while. And for the price, to be honest, it doesn't hurt to do it every time you replace your points. The nut on the one side of the coil here. Okay, I'm going to give you the part numbers for the points and condenser here. Points are 47-150-03-S, condenser 230-722-S. So what I'll do here is put the wire from the condenser on the coil. And I've got my nut driver, it's magnetic. Let's get this up. And then just tighten it up on the engine cowling here. Okay, there it is installed. Next, the points are just down here under this cover. Okay guys, I'm back here the next day with my points. I'm going to show you that even with the condenser, there's still no spark, and then I'll show you how to install the points. Okay, here's the new condenser I just installed. I'll spray some carb cleaner right in the carb here to prime it. And you'll see it still won't start. We still don't have spark. So I will take off the points cover right down here. There's two slotted screws. And here's a close look at them. They don't look that great. The two parts that touch there aren't smooth and clean. So I suspect this is the problem. First, I will check to see if they're even opening. Yeah, so I did see the points move up and down. So they are timed right. So at this point, I will just remove them. So I don't work on stuff with points much anymore, but I used to when I was younger. I've done a lot of engines with points, even motorcycles. One of my first motorcycles with points was a Kawasaki KM100. If you've ever had that bike, comment below. Also CT70s, Honda CT70s with points. Now I'm just going to take them right off the whole thing here. And you want to make sure this plunger is there. Do not lose that. So I gotta put these points on this bracket. Okay, let's get these off. So look at what I meant by the points right there. That does not look good at all. These are finished. Look at that. This is what they're supposed to look like, nice and clean. So they'll go in like this. And this part here that's elongated, the hole, that's for your adjustment. So I'll just leave this snug, not tight, so that I can adjust them. And I'm going to put this screw on before I actually put the points on the engine here, so I need a Phillips for this one. Now this is a bit spring loaded here, so be careful. And this wire here goes to the coil. And it broke. Look at that, eh? Cheap junk. Now this is when the van pliers come into action, guys. They saved me so many times with problems like this. I think these are aftermarket points, and I think that's why the screw is a lot weaker. That's all I had in the shop. So I'll go find another screw. Here's another screw. So these two screws can go on tight right off the bat. I just left this one loose a bit here. It's going to be awkward to tighten it up. But I've got a long screwdriver here that will go through here and reach the screw. By the way, if you're wondering what the model of this engine is specifically, here it is. Model K341S, spec number 71120A. Now to check the points gap, I will just reach in back here. The plug is off the engine here, and I will just spin the engine until I get the points at their highest peak, until the plunger is out at that highest peak from the engine to open up the points. Okay, so what I did here is I had the screw right here loose, and then what I did is I pushed the points, this part of the points here further toward the engine. Here's the gap that I have now. The points are at their most open position, and I want that gap to be 20 thousandths of an inch. So once you have it where you think it is, grab your feeler gauge, 20 thou of an inch. Now if you do this a lot, you don't need the gauge. You're just going to automatically know what 20 thousandths is. So this should go in there nice and snug. Here we go. It's a little under 20. So what I'll do is loosen the points again and push them as far back as I can here. I think they already are, maybe. And that gap looks good. It is 20 thou of an inch now. And now they're nice and tight. And they're a bit snug. It is a little bit tight in there, but I'm happy with that setting. I'll just spin the engine over by hand a bit here. So there, the gap is a bit bigger now that I spun the engine just a bit. Oh yeah, and now it's way over 20 thou. So I'm gonna go back in here, guys, loosen the screw again and just gently back off the points here. So I back this part back. And let me check that again. It's a bit too large again. I'll just repeat the process, and what I do is I just loosen the screw just a bit, because you don't want them to go all the way back and have to start over. So I think this should be good here. Make sure your feeler gauge is good and not oily. There, that's perfect. Perfect. So now I'll spin the engine over with the battery and make sure it's working properly and that the two little points here are lined up. And I saw a few sparks there at the points, which is a good sign, which means we probably have spark now at the plug. Okay, let's check for spark. I do see some spark. It's not like intense or anything. So I'm gonna put the plug in and we'll try it out. RJ19LM plug that was in there. I think you can use a J8C in these as well. Runs good, man. I'm happy. If you do what I've done here today and your machine runs a few minutes and you got no spark, and you come back when it's cold and you have spark, then replace the coil right here. What I also did here in between the video clips is I took the condenser off. I cleaned off the paint to get a better ground for the condenser. Make sure these wires are tight on the coil. If these come off, you won't have any spark. I wanted to run it with the cover off the points. I'll put it back on. I'm just going to service this machine a bit more here before it leaves the oil and fuel line and stuff. But overall, guys, this is what you got to do with these old engines. No spark, replace the points, preferably go with OEM parts. It's always better, but that's my tip for today, guys. Points, condensers, coils on these. It's relatively simple. You just want to make sure you set the old engines at 20 thou for the points. And to put the cover back on, there is a hole here on the cover for the wire, and you do not want this wire to actually ground. If this wire grounds, you will not have spark. So there's usually a rubber here that goes on the wire to kind of shield it from here, so that helps. You can also tape up the wire a bit. I mean, this is old as can be here. And these engines vibrate like crazy. Did you guys see that? Trying to adjust the carburetor to stop the surging, and it was like hard to get on that screw. So what I did here earlier when it was surging is I turned out this screw. It fixed it, as you saw. This is more the air screw. This might help with the idling to make it idle faster. And this is your mechanical idle screw. You can play with this one. You turn it in, it'll idle faster. Turn it out, it'll idle slower. Anyway, the machine runs good. Let's try it out again here to make sure it will still go. No safeties at all on this machine. Choke is here. Throttle is here. What a nice engine, eh? She's good. She's good. I'm very happy because I want to get this machine out of the shop ASAP. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. It's not too often I do videos on points. Hopefully you learned something out of it. If I get more, I'll do more. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like the video and to be subscribed. Have a great day.